Good morning from soggy Southern California. I recently went out to the desert and found an old mine. And there's a nice vein in that mine, and I sampled the vein and I assayed it various times, like 6 or 8 times, and I got an average of 20 grams per metric ton, in that range. And at the base of that vein, there's a big muddy alluvial deposit from runoff from the hillside around it and from the decomposing material around the mine. So I wondered if there's any gold in that muck. And I'll show you some photographs or maybe a short video of that right now. All right, I think this is 157. I'm down in a hole. It's at least a foot deep. And it's right next to the main vein. There's the situation. So I broke out the shaker table, and it's been sitting in the garage underneath a bench for I don't know, 8 months now, and it took me about a half an hour to set it back up, and I've got it running, and I'm going to run that muck through the shaker table to see what's in it. I don't have high hopes, but we'll see. So that's what we'll do today. So stick around and we'll take a look at what we get at the end. First, I'll show you the shaker table in operation again for those of you who haven't seen the video. So here's a look at the shaker table. It's operated by a battery power supply. I can control the pump and the rate of shaking using those two PWM motor drives. There's the table. Water bar, neoprene rubber mat, sturdy base, reasonably sturdy enough. Two catch ports for the cons, the number 1 and the number 2 cons. It's full of jet dry right now, so it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a pump. There's a bilge pump under there. Underneath the bilge pump is a little filter that keeps the crap out of the water bar. There's the tailings bucket, and there's the shaker table. So underneath here, it's plywood with epoxy paint, and there's 3 steps in the table, and the idea there is to reject various densities of material as the stuff walks up. The mechanical stage is shown here as a small 35-watt motor that runs it. There's an eccentric coupler back there. There's these flexure springs, and the table moves that way. So there's a video on this in more depth on this table, and there's another video about how I built another version of it. So you can go take a look at those if you want more information. So here's an example of the muck from the bottom of the vein around the mine. This could be more of a challenge than I thought. Anyway, I'm going to wet classify it into a big bucket with a classifier. This has 1 millimeter holes. That's a number 18 mesh. And if that looks promising, I've got 3 more buckets from the same area, different locations. It looks like it's going to be full of clay, which, well, I guess I'll see, huh? This may not turn out to be so interesting, but we'll find out. First thing I'm going to do is to find out if wet classifying makes any sense. or if I don't know. Anyway, it's all a fun experiment, huh? Well, that's an exercise in stupidity or futility. I think a better plan is I'm just going to hydrate this clay in this bucket of water and just run it through the shaker table. It's very, very, very fine mud. And since it's clay, I don't even know if it's going to have any gold in it. Probably not. All right, that's the fun of it. So you may be wondering why I didn't just put water into this one. I'm kind of wondering the same thing right now myself. Well, I'm sort of half committed now. I guess now I'm fully committed, huh? All right, well, I found this little homemade paint stirrer from, ages ago. Let's see if it works on this stuff. Maybe not, huh? All right, back again. Well, I've already got most of it in suspension. I think maybe I'll declare victory and run it through the table. All right, well, let's give it a try and see what happens. So I don't like these big clods of clay that are sticking there. Yeah, I don't know what's in any of this yet. And so I think I'm going to strain it first. Not too much trouble, so let's strain it. So here's my 1mm classifier. And I guess I can just pour this right through here and get at least a big lump of it. All right, let's run that through. Let's see how close I can get here. Where is it? There's, of course, the brown clay makes it very difficult to see the gold, but there's stuff there. I'm going to run the table some more and clean that out better. So I ran the table for another, what, 2 or 3 minutes, brushing it down, and there's some seriously heavy stuff caught in that groove. So I'm getting a little bit more excited. Right, well, buried in this mud hole is my 2 containers are buried in there somewhere. Let's see what I can do to get them out of there. Where are you? This is the number 1. And I'm going to let that settle, because if those gold particles are really small, the settling rate in clay water is quite slow. In pure water, if there are 100 micron particles, then the settling rate is about 1 centimeter per second. And what have I got? 30 centimeters? So at a minimum, it's going to take like 30 seconds or a minute to settle that, and it might take longer. So I'll just let those settle for a couple of minutes just to be sure. Pour off as much water as I can, and then get it into a gold pan. Well, there's some extremely fine muck down there. I don't even know where to do this on the pan. Maybe over here. So remember, the settling time is about a centimeter per second, or maybe a little slower. So I'm going to let it settle for a while. And there's black sand in there. Try to pour off the lighter stuff. So I made this very useful thing. It's a magnifier. It has LED lights. It has a Hastings triplet in there, rechargeable battery, and a charging port. And I can turn on the lights individually. And I made one and I put it on my cell phone case. And I aligned it very carefully. So I'm going to use that and take some photographs or videos of the gold. So here's an unmagnified version of what I recovered from the #1 cons. I don't know, there's actually quite a bit of gold in it. I don't know if I can find a piece. There's a big piece right there. Well, let's take a look at it using the magnifier. So it's quite interesting having multiple colors available when you do this. There's a piece of gold. I can't point my finger at it, but it's in the, I'll move it to the, roughly to the center of the image there. Now, that's with just the yellow, it's white, it's a warm white light. And there it is with the white and the blue light. And you can see how the gold absolutely jumps out at you. There's another piece there. There's a small piece there. And without the lighting contrast, it's actually pretty hard to pick up. There's just the warm white. Here's just yellow, which you'd think would work very well, but it doesn't. But there's the yellow and the blue. That doesn't work that well, but the warm white and the blue provide the necessary contrast. And now you can see all of the gold showing up everywhere, and it's really tiny. So I panned out the #2 cons, and you know, at this magnification you can't really see much of anything. But there's actually, I don't know if it's quite a lot, but there's gold, in very, very, very tiny gold in there. I'm going to put the camera on the magnifier and we'll take a look. All right, so there's, once again, that's warm white only. And that's blue plus warm white. And you can see the specks of gold quite clearly. There we go. There's a nice one. So there's little tiny flecks of gold everywhere in here. Okay, that shows it fairly well. The scale that you see, those divisions are 1/4 millimeter, so 250 microns per division. And the width of one of those lines would be 125 microns. So you can see how tiny the gold particles are. There's, so given that's the scale, here's a nice gold particle. Let's say it's, what, 50 microns in diameter. So this stuff is really tiny. There's, to focus, there's a particle that might be 75 microns. What do we have over here? Now, there's a enormous one, maybe 125 microns. Anyway, It's really tiny, so I'm probably throwing away almost all of it. All right, I'm going to try to get this material. This is both number 1 and number 2 cons, and while I've been playing with it, I've been watching the gold try to float away, so I haven't been extremely careful about panning it out. I should have used jet dry. Anyway, it's the small little flakes, they just kind of float right on the surface. They're very hygroscopic. So I'm going to try to get this into this coffee filter. All right, there it is drying in the sun. When that's dry, we'll do a little bit more microscopy. Well, here's what's left of about, what, a gallon? 4 liters, maybe 8 kilos of starting material. This is the number 1 and number 2 cons that panned down a bit. There wasn't actually much to pan out of it. And it doesn't look like much, but there's gold all through it, but it's tiny. So I'm gonna, and I've been looking at it with this little guy, very convenient. It's a lot of fun. And I put one on here. I think I mentioned that before. So we'll go take a little video tour of this stuff at high magnification. All right, so sorry for the shaky video, but that's what we've got. So you can see the gold everywhere. I'm just kind of randomly looking around. They're very, very small particles. Most of the ones that I can see are less than 100 microns in diameter. But the material has a lot of it. So it's really small, very fine gold. There's a few big chunks that I've seen. I'm not sure I can find anything here. There's probably a chunk of gold. So I don't know what to do with this. I think the best approach is to smelt it, and so do a fire assay on this concentrate, and I'll do that in the next video. So if you haven't subscribed already, I would certainly appreciate you doing that. And if you don't mind, hit the like button, because they claim it helps. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.